spooks, and demons.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Thriving in Chaos. I am your host, Rebel Phoenix. With me, as always, my awesome co-host, Stella Renee.
Hey,
Hey, hey, hey!
how are you doing?
How you doing? How you
Good,
doing?
good. Doing
How?
great.
Wait. In the words of Rasputia, how you doing?
All right. Uh, I'm doing great. I got some gardening done today. It's so funny because we've been doing this long enough to have a season change. So we went from our very first episode when it had been snowing like crazy
Yeah,
to now being able to actually set up the garden for the incoming summertime.
yeah. I'm traumatized after going to my garden today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So for
It's sad,
anybody that doesn't know the story,
which is everybody
uh
but me, I'm sure.
probably. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody but you. Um so I went outside today to let my dogs out in the backyard and my husband was out there with me. And in our next door neighbor's yard, there's a deer, a little deer, female deer, and her back leg is just hanging off of her. It's completely
Oh, it's so
demolished. Like you can see her bones sticking out.
oh
It's
my god.
Yeah. There was nothing we could do but, like, call the humane officer to come take care of it.
It was sad when you told me over text, but that's even sadder to hear you say it out loud. That's
Yeah.
so much
They had to
worse.
they had to come euthanize her because there was no way she'd ever really be able to
Mhm.
survive like that.
That poor thing.
Sad, sad day. But
Sad day.
unfortunately, our lives must go on.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of our lives, let me tell you about them sponsors we got going on. I'm gonna be like that newscaster that goes from sad to hey.
Yeah, anyways.
Anyways, back to you in the studio, Bob. No, but yes, Thriving in Chaos does have some sponsors we got to give shout outs to. So
Absolutely.
we are partnered with Century PC, who is your software solution needs for your home, family, and school, which Stella knows more about than me because she's the target audience for that company.
I literally am.
It's literally designed for parents and teachers and business owners, really.
It really is. It's actually really cool because it's the being able to watch what someone is doing on their computer. So that works for businesses. If you run a business and you need to make sure that your employees are, not doing certain things or they're how they're spending their days. While I, as an
Making sure
employee
they're
who
not scrolling Facebook all day.
works on a computer all day, that sounds horrible, but as a manager, I know that that's important as well. But as a parent, like, it's good. You can buy 1 license for, like, 70, or you can buy 1 and then an additional for, I think it's, like, 25? I could be wrong on those prices. Um, so if you have 2 kids, you can buy 1 license for each of their devices, so it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as far as businesses go, it would be very useful for the businesses that have like call center ish vibes where they're handling very sensitive information on a daily basis. So you want to make
Mhm.
sure that your people are doing as they're supposed to and not pocketing sensitive information they shouldn't be.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's a good scenario to think of
Mhm.
business wise
Yeah.
for anybody that has that type of business that has to handle sensitive information, especially personal information. So yeah, definitely give them a check out. I will have their link in our description as usual. We are also partnered with Innovative Extracts, which I did actually buy some products from them to
Oh,
try.
did you? Oh, I can't wait
I
to hear what you
did.
say.
I did. So, like, because of some of my meds, I didn't want to. I wasn't sure how CBD would affect certain things, so I didn't. I
Mhm.
didn't get like the vapes or anything, but I did get some of their muscle cream.
Oh, yeah.
I got they have the heating kind and the cooling kind, so I got one
Mhm.
of each to try.
Mhm.
So I will definitely be showing that
Yeah.
off once it comes in. I'll let you all know how it goes.
Ugh,
But definitely give them a try. What's it gonna hurt? You
I
get
love a good
15% off
CBD cream,
you get
oil,
first
whatever.
you get 15% off your first order. Just type in an email address and you're good to go. And
Yeah.
the products for what they aren't really that bad in
Mm-mm.
pricing.
No, they're actually pretty good
Compare
prices.
market.
Yeah,
So yeah, definitely
absolutely.
check those out. We'll have that link in the description as well. And I'm gonna turn it over to you now, Stella, to talk about our merch and Mythic Print Masters and
Yeah.
Spotify.
Yeah, now that I remember. Um, there is a sorry, hold on one second. So Mythic Print Masters. I actually have the items on me because the past couple times I've been doing this, I haven't had
Finally,
them. I know. So a couple of things that
she
he
finally
has
remembered,
made.
guys.
I know. I couldn't find the fidgets because they're somewhere in my kids' rooms. But we have a capybara here.
Isn't
And
that like the coolest thing you've ever
it's
seen?
so cool.
Like,
And he's rainbow.
where else are you gonna find something like that?
He's so cute.
And he's rainbow colored.
Right. And if you ever watch Creepy Dave, I watch him on Instagram. I love his animal videos. He says the name's all weird. So a capybara, I always say Crappy Barbara. So if I say them wrong, that's why. And he's made a ferret. This is for my daughter. This is my daughter's.
That
I
that
stole them
looks
from my
like
children.
that looks like it was meant to be a slinky ferret.
Oh my god, it's so much fun.
It kind of reminds me of the dog off Toy Story.
Yeah, a little bit. He also made this like Mad Hatter leprechaun thing that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it literally looks like
Oh,
his Lucky
he
Charms are
rattles.
on meth.
And then there's a keychain as well that was made for my son.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
That's
it's so
cute.
it's so like aesthetically pleasing. Um, but yeah, so that is Mythic Printmasters. You can find them at mythicprintmasters.com. They do custom stuff. You can buy any one of the items that he has listed. I'm sure if you wanted something in a specific color, he would absolutely be able to do that too. He's a super nice guy. Very easy to work with. The
I
other
hear
thing I
he's
wanted to
going to make us a thriving in chaos sign, right?
I
Wink,
mean, if
wink.
I'm not sure if I asked him to do that or not. If so, I'm not sure if he is, but I can ask him. Um, there is also merch available for us. So if you find us at Scarefest in Kentucky later this year or
Which is in
Paracon in West
Lexington.
Virginia.
Let me clear that up. I originally thought it was Bowling Green, but it is actually Lexington, Kentucky, we will
Oh,
be going to.
I always say Lexington. I'm sure it's close. Oh. I don't know. I'm just gonna passenger princess it once I get to your place. Um, uh, we if you stop us at Scarefest, we will have these on us. These are our bands. They glow in the dark. They're green. Um, Thriving in Chaos, Beware of the Dead. So we should have those on our person. So stop us, talk to us. Let's get you a wristband. I also have bags that will be available for purchase at Paracon in West Virginia as well. But if you want any of our t-shirts, cups, or anything like that, those can be found at thrivinginchaos.printful.me. And they're super cute. They are really well made. There's a video on my TikTok that's I am Stella Renee about the cups and stuff. So I actually go over them and they are so nice. So nice. My kids have already stolen them.
Yeah, my aunt stole all mine too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like I was like, "That wasn't for you, but okay." I bought my Stella hoodie. I wore it maybe for an hour before my daughter took it. Um,
Yeah, you'll never say that again. You might as well just buy
no.
more.
It's in my laundry, so I literally could steal it. Um,
But anyway,
but yeah, sorry.
back to topic. No
See,
more
ADHD
tangents. We
already.
must focus.
ADHD already.
We have
The
got to
last
stop
thing
with that.
I know, we will someday. We're on Spotify, so you can actually find us on Spotify. If you wait to the outro, it will be there as well, but it is Thriving in Chaos. It is listed as a podcast if you'd rather listen than watch. That's it.
Speaking of thriving in chaos, let's get to our poor guest today who's been waiting in our green room.
Sorry.
He's been waiting very
It's a
patiently.
high ADHD day, so sorry,
I
audience.
mean, I think at this point, people that come on the show already know what they're getting themselves into if they've ever watched an episode of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But without further ado, we do have a little change of pace. He is still in the movie industry. He's actually an
Absolutely.
associate producer for a couple upcoming titles, such as Return of the Corn Zombies and Perfect Soul. So, please welcome to the stage Mr. Lance Lebrun.
Hi, how are you?
What's happening?
Hello. Welcome.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thanks
Thanks for
for-
being here.
Thanks for not leaving us.
Thanks for taking the time and also putting up with all of our ADHD. Sorry, I told you off screen it is a high ADHD day. I don't know what's happening.
We did warn him. Guys. Like, we did try to warn him before we got here.
It's all good. It's all good.
I will
He's a
attempt to
glutton for
focus.
punishment. It's okay. So why don't you go ahead and tell the audience a little more about yourself? Where are you from?
I am actually originally from Maryland. I currently live in
Oh,
Florida.
Me too.
Me too.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
jealous.
Yes, I
I'm
saw. I think
She's
one
in
of you
Maryland.
said. I think one of you was in Brooklyn, which I guess is outside the burnout, the Dirty Dina. So
Oh my god. Wait, what
I-
part are you from?
I'm originally from Harford County.
Oh, okay. I'm from Glen
I'm
Burnie.
I'm Glen Burnie, Brooklyn, Baltimore area,
Okay.
but I'm in Charleston, West Virginia now. I packed and moved out of that shithole years ago, and I ain't ever going back. Look,
I was like, hold on. You're saying
rolled-
words I know.
For real, I rolled out when the Baltimore riots broke out. I was like, nope, I'm done.
My house that I had with my ex was right by there. It was like not right by there, but it was like
So was mine.
very, very close. Oh, that's
I-
right. You were in Brooklyn Park, yeah.
I was right there where it broke out. And like at the time that they started like really going at it, I was literally sitting at a red light in a school bus full of preschool and kindergarten kids.
Oh,
And I got surrounded by a bunch of people that wanted to like flip me over and set me on fire.
yeah.
And the bad
Mhm.
part about it was all the kids I had picked up was basically their own kids because I had picked up at like Baltimore Annapolis Elementary right there in Baltimore.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
so it was a Baltimore school I was driving for. I'm like, are you guys fucking crazy?
Like these are your neighborhood children. Knock it off.
Yeah, I was watching them live while I was at work. I was working in White Marsh in that area
Oh
when
yeah.
that all broke out. But yeah, started life in Maryland. I currently live in Central Florida, so
Nice.
life's great down here.
Yeah. All my brothers are in
How long
Florida,
have you
so
been long
I've
you
been
been
here
there?
for I guess about 4 years.
nice.
I've been in West Virginia for March 1st made 8 years.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
7 years. 7?
Wow.
I've been here since 2017. So yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
10 years. No, 8. Yeah, 8. I get time and like years mixed up.
It's all good.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I've been here for like 8 years. It's insane.
I've been here for 40, so it's
Right. Yeah, I spent 40 years in Maryland. Yeah, so
fine.
I only spent like 30 there, so it's okay.
Yeah.
They let me out early for good behavior.
Well, I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
yeah, life's been good in Florida, so I don't
That's
ever
awesome.
plan on going back.
Yeah, my brother moved and he was like, I am not coming back. He loves it. All of them love it. They all do.
What part of Florida are you in?
Central Florida. I'm in between Orlando and Daytona. I'm like 30 to 40
Oh,
minutes
That's a nice
either way.
spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
You see a lot of gators where you are?
We do have a few of them in town. And then we're not far from Blue Springs National Park. So Blue Springs is where all the manatees hang out here in Central Florida. And there's a
Oh, I
few
love
gators that
manatees.
hang out through there.
Nice.
So, and then if you head down into Seminole County, there's a couple of lakes with a very overpopulated gator infestation.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of them in Gator Land, man. I don't know how they have so many.
I love
It's a-
Gatorland.
Gatorland
do
is
too.
a rescue area, like it's a preserve, if you will.
Yes, they actually do a lot of stuff actually all over the world, really,
Yeah.
for conservation of the gators and all that fun stuff. And I think they're going to try and open another location. I know that's something that they've been toying with for the last few years, but trying to find funding for something like that is, not
I'm
easy.
sure that's not easy, yeah. Well, it's been
Really?
open forever too, so.
Oh yeah.
What I love about Gatorland is it's like they're like everywhere. They're literally everywhere in Gatorland, and it's so well done that it's like they do it in a way that it's like they're profiting off of the gators, obviously, but it's not because they're doing it for the money. It's because they're doing it to take care of the gators that they have.
Exactly.
It's just
But
wonderful.
for real though, like from a business aspect of that company, could you imagine when they first decided to open that business of, rescuing alligators and crocodiles and all the exotic snakes? Could you imagine the look on their insurance company's face when they brought that to them? Yeah, man, we're going to go out and catch alligators, crocodiles.
We're just going to have vats of
snakes.
gators hanging out, people walking through.
Their hazmat pit, like their premiums must be through the fucking
Right.
roof. Like they have to charge a lot of money for insurance purposes only. Like,
Right.
It's not. I don't think it's that expensive to get in there either, though.
No, it's
I
not.
think
Annual
it's like
passes
35
are
a person or something
yeah,
like that.
annual passes are relatively inexpensive, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I mean, the kids, they like doing the Universal thing more than anything else, but that's I can't do that all the time. That's a little expensive. The first couple of years we were here, we had annual passes to Universal Studios, which was great, but I was like, maybe a water park and maybe Gatorland from now on.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time coming to terms with the fact that like one of the companies I want to go visit down there is also probably the one I hate the most. Can anyone guess?
Disney. I've never been, and I don't ever plan on going.
Well, I've been there twice, never made it in the park, but no.
I love Disney. Sadly. Like that is definitely one of those guilty pleasure things. It's like it's way too expensive. And there's so many things to hate about that stuff.
SeaWorld is the one that I hate the most, but
Yeah,
I also want to go visit. I want to see the animals in there, but I don't agree with the company or their practices of how they treat their animals or the fact that they even have them locked in cages like that.
SeaWorld, I haven't been in a while, but the only thing that I have kind of an issue with is the captivity of the orcas, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Same.
All the other animals, they live
it's
pretty
like an
good
aquarium,
lives.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The penguins are good. The sea lions are all taken care of. Everybody's well fed. It's just orcas in general. I don't care how big the tank is. Like,
it's not.
They're just not meant to be a
there.
captive animal.
Right.
You know.
That's why their dorsal fins curl over.
I heard that
only happens
actually.
Is it?
I heard
because I've always heard that's
what I
like
heard,
if they're in captivity, that's why their dorsal fins curl over.
Yeah, I actually heard that was
willies.
I couldn't tell you either way.
But like I've been to SeaWorld in the past few years, and it's actually not that bad.
I can
they don't do those shows anymore.
They don't. Well, yeah, because Silicon was killing everybody. I guess they had to stop because again, insurance companies like, really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Are you sure you want to continue insuring these people? Like, really?
I don't know about all that.
I can understand if it's like, like something like Australia Zoo, where the animals that are there cannot survive in the wild for one reason or another. But all the ones that can survive in the wild, they release back into the wild. Mm-hmm. They don't go take them out of the wild just to put them in captivity.
Right.
Well, that's what I appreciate about Gatorland is I feel like that's most of where their gators
Yeah, I
come
mean,
from.
Gatorland, as far as I know, I mean, the ones that are there because they needed to be there or because they were born there.
Yep.
Or if it's, a lot of the times, like they'll, like, even like the albino alligators, like they probably,
I
usually
love
if they're
those.
albino, that's usually a problem,
Yeah.
some sort of genetic mutation. They're not going to survive very long out in the wild as it is.
Exactly.
Not because of the mutation, but oftentimes a lot of animals like that will get picked on by the ones that are quote unquote normal, I guess. So,
Well, they also don't have any way to really camouflage. They stick out.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. There's no
You
protection
know-
from like the sun or anything once they're albino. So like it's all
Yeah,
kinds of
They got a
different.
really cool one down there that when he's laying still and the sun's hitting him just right, he looks like he's carved out of stone. He's so white.
Oh,
It's ridiculous. It's an
Oh,
absolutely
I
beautiful
love that
animal.
one. I have pictures of that one from Gatorland.
And then
'Cause,
they
like-
recently, I guess in the last year and a half, I think they have Jolene. I don't know if you guys have followed Jolene at all, but that was a baby
haven't
alligator
recently.
that they found that didn't have an upper jaw. The upper jaw had been
Aw.
cut off, I guess maybe in a boating accident
my
or something like
gosh.
that. So
Or another gator.
they've managed to keep it alive, and she's thriving, and called her Jolene because it was missing her jaw. But she's growing, she's eating, and she's got her own little habitat over there that the other gators don't get to her and pick on her and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool, knowing that at least they're out there doing that type of stuff.
Yeah.
For unfortunate situations like that.
Yeah. That makes me so happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I went to New Orleans a while back, and they took us out on like one of those Cajun swamp tours, and they were showing us different gators and stuff, and they were feeding them, but they were feeding them marshmallows. And the one, like, they had a big long pole and they had marshmallows attached to it, and they'd hold it out, and the gator would literally jump up and grab it. And the one gator that was down there was a real famous one because he like lost an arm or something fighting with a shark.
Oh wow.
I think they called him Brutus.
That's a movie
maybe.
idea.
But he's in the Guinness book as one of the longest alligators in the world, like one of the biggest. And I think his name's Brutus. But yeah, like he lost one of his arms because he was fighting with a bull shark, they said. And the bull shark took his arm. But he ended up getting the best of the shark because he ate the shark. But
And that is a movie, actually. I think it's called Dino Shark versus Crocosaurus.
Oh my
Something
god,
like
I have
that.
to watch that.
It's one of them sci-fi asylum productions, I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
One of
They
those
started with a
ridiculous
kernel
ones.
of the truth and built off of it.
Right,
I love
exactly.
We got to see that gator in person, and he like came up out the water, and they said that he stays around the boat specifically to be fed because he can't hunt anymore because he has a hard time swimming with one arm.
Right.
So they
Swimming in
specifically-
circles.
Yeah, so they basically feed him to keep him alive. And I mean, they'll literally reach right out and touch him right on the nose, like pet him like he's a pet. Like,
Oh my gosh.
and
Well, they can't
have
see in
wild
front of
pigs,
them,
too.
so
Yeah, they have like wild pigs there too that stay around the boat, and the gators don't mess with them. Because like
that's interesting.
when we were there, like somebody really made me angry because they were throwing the marshmallows, and the pigs were eating the marshmallows too. But like there was a gator, or maybe it was probably a gator, but it was like right there where we were with the pigs and stuff, and they kept throwing it, trying to get the gator to attack the pig, and it pissed me off, and I about threw the guy in the water myself. Like I literally jumped up in the middle of the boat, and I was like, bro, you got one more time to try and get that pig killed before you get to join him. Pick your poison. I know his ass sat right back down, never threw another marshmallow the whole ride.
That's so weird though.
Because my husband at the time was like, bro, don't try her. Like, she will fucking throw you in there. Like, don't do
I think
it.
she won't push you off this boat.
He's like, she's dead serious. Like, do not do that in front of her, man.
Oh, it's Dino Croc versus Super Gator. I'm sorry.
Oh wow!
I
Like, that
think I
makes it
like
better.
I think I like your title a little bit better.
It is available on Tubi though.
Oh,
See?
I've watched all those. I've watched what was it? The one we watched the other day. It was like Sharktopus versus Whale Wolf, and
Yes, I've seen
then
that
there
one.
was
My son likes that one.
Dino Shark against Crocosaurus or something like that, and there was a
Sharktopus.
pterodactyl one, and yeah. There's all kinds of
can't-
crazy ass.
I can't get my son to watch any of
mutations
that stuff. I have to wait till my kids are with my ex-husband to be able to watch anything. He's scared of everything, so he won't let me watch any of that stuff.
Oh wow, okay.
My husband can only take so much of it before he's like, I just can't with these.
No, my son really likes.
Some of them actually.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I was gonna say my son really likes like creature features for some
Mhm.
reason. The Godzilla is his like favorite. Loves all the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he likes some of like the old like 50s and 60s monster movies that kind of like played off of like Godzilla, the whole Mothra series and franchise. So he loves them old creature features. So he'll watch the shark movies like that. He loves Sharknado. That's one of his favorites as well. So
Yeah, I've seen
he
that
gets
one.
into that stuff. He doesn't do a whole lot of horror though. He definitely doesn't like doing zombies.
I saw one the other day that was written by the same guy that did Jaws, like Peter Benchley. I don't know if it was like the original story that Jaws was based off of, or if it was a completely separate novel that he wrote. But it was about, I guess, a government science lab, and they were experimenting with genetic mutations, obviously.
Because that always works out so well.
Right. You'd think by now we'd learn from history. Robots and mutants are bad ideas, guys. Like, we're not broken. Stop trying to fix us. Stop trying to make life easier, because you're just making us lazier. But basically, they took human DNA and mixed it with a bunch of animals, and the guy ended up being like half shark, half man, but he had like the speed of a cheetah on land and like bear
Oh my
claws.
gosh.
It was a whole hot mess. And like
my
he just
gosh.
ran around on land eating people. Like,
What is the point?
it's one of those like,
But he was really fast, so
yeah,
worked out.
right. Like some of them are okay. There's some that are decent watches because there's good acting in it, even if the monster's kind of crappy. But then there's some that just don't take themselves seriously at all. So it's just a complete spoof from beginning to end, and it's like it's almost like they're acting bad on purpose. They'll be like,
But those could be really fun.
"Oh
though,
no, it's a shark!" But like,
I mean, sometimes you run into those "it's so bad it's good" type deals, like
Yeah.
Samurai Cop. But there are some actual just bad movies out there.
I mean, like Zombie. What is it? Zombie 3, I think maybe, where it's like 20 minutes of watching the same girl, like watching this stick come towards her eye when she could have just literally like she just sat there and was like, "Oh."
That's funny.
Like the scene in Austin Powers where the guy's getting run over by the steamroller. And it's like a football field length away.
Yeah.
Like, you can move. Just get out of the way.
And like the zombie was on it was just his hand that was holding her by the top of her head.
Right.
Like, lose some hair, lady. Come on.
Like, make the sacrifice.
That's like these movies. Nothing pisses me off more in a horror movie than a girl that is standing there getting choked and her arms are free and her legs are free. And she's just standing there like flailing. And I'm like, girl, you better learn how to use your several fucking legs, okay?
But you know that commercial that was like, I don't forget what it was for, but it's like they were like all in like a horror movie. And it's a group of kids and they're hiding behind.
Oh yeah, the Geico commercial. They all go hide in the barn with all the sharp tools.
Why don't we just get in the running car? It's right there.
What are you, crazy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what that reminds me of.
I'm like, can
It's so
we
funny.
just ninja kick the damn dude? Like something? Can you at least try to fight back? I mean, and it's
No.
never, those are never the quick scenes. Those are the ones that just
Oh
go
my god, they
on
take forever.
Yes, she's like,
They're like, let's make it extra dramatic.
and then she'll look again, like, what do I do? What do I do?
You're just like, stop with the whatever that is.
I'm like, you're flailing your arms. You can't just whack them.
Yeah. Let's go a little further to the center. A little further to the center.
They can't all be
Before-
perfect.
Yeah. that's
Before I
true.
got kicked out of my self-defense class, my instructor was like, man, Rebel, I pity the fool that picks a fight with you.
They're like, we'll find a way. You get scrappy from
But no lie,
from this
I'm
area.
I'm that person though. Like I will sit here and bitch about every horror cliche that I see, and then I'm that person that will go get in a stranger's van because they have a puppy.
Yeah.
Like
I always say I die by petting something I shouldn't. That's how I go. I'm sure of it.
for sure. I'm gonna die because some guy said that he was friends with my mom and he had puppies in the van. Take me, I'm yours. But I'm also that kid that if I get to the van and there are no puppies, I'm gonna whoop your ass right then and there because you lied to me.
I just mean like I'm gonna be like, oh, look at the kitty, and it's like a mountain lion.
Or look at the
Like a mauled to
doggy.
death?
It's a
Yeah.
skunk.
or a bear or something. Yeah.
I could actually see your son grabbing a skunk thinking it was a dog. That would be
My son would never. My son tried to help me garden today and was like, I'm going to throw up. And I was like, I'm just
Why?
shoveling dirt. He was like, and we have compost, and a lot of it comes from like when we mow the lawn, and then there's people put trash like out front and stuff, so it blows into our yard. Because of where I live. So we dump that into the compost, and so I'm like, oh, take this piece of plastic and go throw it away for me. And he's like, he takes it like this, and he was like, ugh. And I was like, it's just plastic with dirt on it. And he was like, because at first he was like, I can't do worms. And I was like, I'm not asking you to do anything with worms. I'm just asking you to shovel dirt. And then he couldn't do that. And I was like, well, then go find something else to do. And like, it's fine. You can be productive in other ways. I was like, I'm willing to work with you because we're working on desensitizing him. But then I handed him that and he was like, and I was like, buddy, it
It's
is just a piece
dirt.
of plastic with just dirt. It's just dirt. And he's like, I just can't do that right now. And I was like, okay. I was like, is it the plastic? And he was like, no. And I said, is it the dirt? And he was like, no. And I was like, is it the combination of the two together? And he was like, yes. Okay, buddy.
one
whatever
is
you say.
okay, but not both.
Yeah.
You can take one or
yeah.
the other.
It was very bizarre, but I was like, I get it, because like also textures and weird combinations of things are a thing that I can't stand. But I was just very surprised that that was what made him sick to his stomach.
Yeah.
Like, what a weird combo, dude.
Indeed.
He's cute,
Speaking
though.
of things that can make you sick, why don't you tell us a little bit about Return of the Corn Zombies? Because
Oh.
obviously it's bad corn that made them sick.
So, Return of the Corn Zombies is the sequel to Attack of the Corn Zombies. And in Attack of the Corn Zombies, it was some modified corn that made the townsfolk sick and started turning them into zombies. And they
Did
took
you work
over.
on that one too?
I did not. I did donate some money to the campaign. And I did do, obviously, I did like a review video when it came out. I did watch the movie, did a video review for my YouTube channel. But then when they announced that they were going to do Return of the Corn Zombies, I wanted to try and get in on that. So I got signed up as an assistant producer, and happy to say that they've got distribution through Bayview Entertainment. It's going to be available hopefully coming in May of 2025. And I just put out a promo vid on my YouTube channel with the help of Rick Danford from Indie Horror Junkie. He wrote a really good article, 4-page article on the upcoming movie. So
Oh,
I
that's awesome.
had
He's our guest for the potluck next month.
yes, and so I took that article, I sent it off to a voiceover actress that I know, and I had her narrate it. I just sent it to her. I said, "Look, read it however you see fit, and I will make a video to your narration." And I had director Steve Herman send over some clips and parts of the trailer and some stuff to use, and put a promotional video together and put it out on my YouTube channel. So, Return of the Corn Zombies, obviously, that's going to be the sequel. It's not the same set of characters from the first one, which is kind of cool. The corn zombies have, they've kind of taken over not just, the area that they were in, but now like the world. So you get to see a different part of the landscape, and it's a little bit more decimated than it was in Attack of the Corn Zombies. Cause, in Attack, that's like the beginning of it all. And now you're a couple years into this zombie outbreak. So things are a little bit more run down, post-apocalyptic type setting. Got a group of survivors trying to make it to a place called Homestead for some safekeeping, and obviously the things aren't always what they seem to be. So it's really well written. Steve Herman does a really, really good job as far as when he's writing a script with character development. So there'll be plenty of that in there, and it is actually kind of like a period piece. They don't ever really say it, but it does kind of take place like in the 70s. There's no like modern like type technology. There's no cell phones. There's no, radio, wireless, anything like that. It's just, it's 70s, the aesthetic, the looks, a lot of the props that they use, the cars that they have involved, it's all 70s period pieces. So it's really cool how they made it and put it together.
That's really cool. That's a really neat time to have it set into, just because you kind of miss that window of technology where everything kind of blew up. So I love
Yes.
that. It's really cool.
Well, and the thing was too, a lot of their stuff, Steve Herman, he had done a couple of 50s style like science fiction B movies. I think the first one was It Came From Somewhere. And then there was a sequel to that called They Came Back From Somewhere. So that was kind of set like in the 50s. And the aesthetics in that was very much like it's shot in black and white. It's shot in actual 50s aspect ratio film. So they did everything with that. And then when they wanted to do the zombie flicks, he kind of wanted to keep another period piece, but didn't want to do it in the 50s again. So it's pretty cool how they put it all together. And you're right. It's right on the cusp of like getting to technology, since the 80s is kind of where, the digital age kind of started a little bit. You start getting cell phones and computers can hook up into online, fuel injection car phone, and all that stuff is just non-existent in the zombie franchise.
I love that.
Oh, wow. That's back when pizza still got delivered in 30 minutes or less, or it was free.
That happened in the 90s too.
Right.
Yes, but it doesn't happen today.
It does not happen today. It does not. I can't guarantee that with DoorDash.
Oh, Lord. I wonder if we're going to see them 79-cent gas stations.
Well, I'd love to see one in real life. That'd be nice. It would be so busy that we'd never get to go, but it'd be nice to see that in real life.
So, speaking of technology, are you a gamer, Lance?
A little bit. I'm not very good at anything, so I play Fortnite with my son mostly, and mostly Fortnite and Rocket League on my PlayStation.
Okay, so along the lines of movie franchises, Silent Hill or Resident Evil?
As far as a movie franchise, I would probably go with Resident Evil.
Yeah, I think most people would. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Silent Hill, but I think a lot of people are more invested in Resident Evil because there's more of them.
I think I read today too that they're looking to reboot or remake the Resident Evil franchise with a different actress. So
already,
I don't know how I feel about that, since Mila Jovovich can still kick ass as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that normally they wait like 20 years to start doing remakes. That
Not these days.
That franchise feels like it just ended like 5 years ago.
I mean, Max is getting ready to, they've been casting for the remake of the Harry Potter, franchise. They're going to do that as a
Yeah.
series instead of
The show,
movies.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh, that's going to be huge. Even if it sucks, it's going to be huge.
it's going to suck.
I don't know that I would watch
I mean,
it.
I don't even like Harry Potter franchise to begin with. I never really got into it, but it's going to suck.
Yeah.
I mean, I like
Like,
it.
even though I
but-
wasn't into the franchise, like I can appreciate how well done it
Yeah.
was and the phenomenon that it was, even though it wasn't my cup of tea. So
like that's kind of how I feel about it. Like,
right.
On the one hand, I really liked it as a fan, but it's one of those I only need to watch it once kind of things. I'm not going to sit here every weekend and obsess over it like a lot of people do. And I also don't understand the big hype about it. Same with Twilight. Twilight was great, but I don't think it was the life-altering movies that people made them out to be. It's just another vampire story with a twist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was basically a shiny version of Buffy and Spike.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Buffy and Angel, really.
I actually, so again, I'm going to be the outlier. I love Harry Potter, but I grew up on the books. I think I said this, it's like the third time this week I've talked about this, which is so weird. I was introduced to Harry Potter. I actually saw J.K. Rowling on the Rosie O'Donnell show when I was like 11. And I said to my mom, I was like, I need you to buy me this book because I think I'd really like it. So she bought it for me, which, was cool of her at the time. But she also, I read the first one and then I made her buy me the second one. And then she had to buy me the third one. By the time I hit the third one, I was like completely enveloped in the story. And the fourth one came out. We were on my way to my grandparents' house the day it came out, and I made her stop at the store and buy one. And by that time, my little brother was also into it, so she had to buy
Only
two.
4,000 pages later.
Oh, so good. I read it so fast. I was so far into it. The drive to my grandparents' house is like 2 hours tops, like an hour and a half if my mom drives. And like legit. That's not even a stretch.
Why are we the ones that always drive faster?
I don't know. Well, I always like to say that I drive like a grandma, but not like my grandma, like somebody else's grandma. Because not my grandma. She doesn't drive anymore, really, but when she did, she was not a slow person.
We are so far off the spectrum. Like, I'm the complete opposite.
Fine.
My grandma moves at a walker pace, and I'm fast and furious gone.
I'm like, I don't really need to rush anywhere. It's fine. I'll get there when I get there. But yeah, so I was madly in love with the stories. When the movies came out, I was working at the movie theater, is where Rebel and I first officially met. We've kind of been like circling each other's lives for a very, very long time.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have people in common. We actually knew each other. I think I was like 6 when we first met or something, like maybe she was 6.
I was going to say, if you were 6, I was like 2 or 3.
Yeah, you were probably older. I don't know. No, I was 6 when I first met our mutual person. So I forget where I was. Oh, so when the movies came out, we did these like huge promotions, and there was a group of us that they would like get us all together, and we would like dress up and have like trivia and do all kinds of things at the theater. So I was really into it at the time when it came out too, just because of those reasons. And I totally love it. I've been to Harry Potter World a couple of times. It's fun. It's not like I'm not all into Harry Potter World, but I enjoy it. It's fun, and it takes a lot of like thought and stuff, and I can really appreciate that.
I remember Vic from the movie theater. He would always go around, like, when we had like the big movie premieres, he literally looked like he could be Johnny Depp's stunt double for Jack Sparrow. He had the long hair with the mustache. He literally looked like a pirate, and he always carried like cards around with him because he would do like the magic trick with the floating cards and things.
You're talking about the promoter, Vic, the promoter guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah. He didn't work for the theater.
Yeah. Every time we had like big, huge movie premieres, he would be there, and he would entertain the guests as they were coming in to get their seats. And
He didn't do that one. We did that one on our own.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just saying that's what reminded me of him was the Harry Potter magic.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can appreciate what Harry Potter was and the phenomenon that it was, but it's I could never get into it. But I think, it's a little soon to be doing a remake of something that was
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially if it's that
so
big.
so popular. And
Nobody's going to do it better than the originals.
well, and the thing is like because the movies aren't that old, they're still relevant to not just
Right.
you guys, your generation of fans, but like it's still relevant to like your kids,
Right.
because
Exactly.
the movies aren't that old. So I mean, another 8, 9, 10-year-old could get into the movies just the same as you guys did.
Right.
So it just seems weird that, and I mean, it's like anything these days, there's no, when it comes to the major studios, there's no real original ideas anymore,
Right.
which
That's
is
so
Yeah.
why
terrible.
I think like independent filmmaking is so important, because it's
Mhm.
kind of the last frontier for any type of original idea, so like
Yeah.
I've always kind of been into like weird movies as it was.
Mhm.
So when I started my YouTube channel, 5 years ago or whatever it was, like I wasn't necessarily focusing on like independent movies, but it was kind of like B action movie type stuff, like some of
Mhm.
the stuff that would be like straight to video from like the 90s and 2000s. But
Yeah.
it's really like in the last like 9 months where like I've really started concentrating on, the independent, low budget film circuit, because they're the ones that actually have the good ideas. They're the ones that actually have the original ideas, and they don't have as much of an avenue to get their stories out. So it was really cool when I started, doing it. And then I kind of got teamed up with Rick and Indy Horror Junkie a little bit and started kind of working in partnership with them on a few things. And it's the last frontier for a good original idea and
Absolutely.
storyline, compared to,
Yeah.
they're going to remake Harry Potter. Marvel's coming out with Avengers Doomsday, which is just going to end up bringing back all of the old characters to
Right.
begin with. Now they're just
Yeah.
going to
I'm
fight
so
a
over
different bad
superheroes.
guy. Right.
I'm over superheroes. They got Punisher, they got Daredevil, they got Elektra, they got Peacemaker, they got this one, they got I'm so over it. Like every week is a new superhero.
But think about how long it took to actually get those superheroes out, like for it to be as big as it was, because a couple years back it was like they did the Daredevil movie and it was terrible. They did like all these different uh I mean it wasn't terrible. I didn't think it was terrible. But it did poorly, I think. And then there was like a couple that came out that they were all really like poor performing movies, and they
Well,
finally found that niche of Marvel.
I think some of that might be the actor that was in some of those movies. Like, people we talked before about people typecasting like Evan Peters,
Mhm.
but I think they also did the same thing to like Ben Affleck,
Mhm.
so that when he was the one playing that role, they didn't really respect him in it.
I
So I
actually
feel
didn't
like
hate his performance either, and
I
I think
didn't
I was an
either,
outlier. I
but
thought he was actually quite good.
I feel like people were biased against him specifically because they did not want to see him in that role. They did the same thing to Robert Pattinson when he played Batman, and he ended
Mhm.
up being phenomenal at it.
Mhm.
People get these ideas that once there's an original, there's nobody else that can do it. I don't even who was it? Adam West was the first Batman, maybe?
Mhm.
yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that right? Adam
Yeah. I
West?
think it's the
Right.
first on-screen Batman.
So you have an entire generation that will only look at him as the Batman. Nobody else can do it better than him. Just
Michael
like
Keaton.
if anybody else tried to,
Yes, Michael Keaton is the best.
That's he
he
is
was the
Batman.
one I was coming to. He's the one I was coming to next. There's a whole nother generation that only
Yep.
approves of Michael Keaton, and some only want George Clooney. You know,
How
and
about
then
Val
there's some
Kilmer?
people that only want Jack Nicholson as
Oh, the
Riddler
Joker.
or
Joker.
Joker in
Oh,
this one.
so good though.
There's so many people that are biased once the role is already played.
Yeah.
Well, and I
know?
think another thing that helped with the whole Marvel thing is that was kind of the first time that a studio had sat down and was like, we're going to, they laid the groundwork for beginning to end on
Mhm.
what the Marvel universe was going to be, and they kind of
Exactly.
stuck with it, and they had the rights and the access to all of the characters to do it.
Mhm.
Whereas before, certain studios, and it still kind of happens with the whole Sony thing and Spider-Man, but certain
Mhm.
studios had certain rights to only certain characters, and then finally Disney and Marvel was able to get all of the Marvel characters with the exception of the Spider-Man universe,
Mhm.
because Sony wouldn't let it go.
Right.
It's nice of them to finally team
a
up
little
with
bit.
Marvel and let go
Yeah.
of it a little bit. But let's face it, when
They're
Sony
like,
tries
oh,
to
okay,
do
we'll stop
something
being
by
greedy now.
themselves with the Spider-Man universe, it sucks.
Yeah.
Madam
Yeah.
Web was terrible, Morbius was terrible, but you put Spider-Man in with the Marvel cinematic universe. Oh, that works. Yeah, well, why don't you
Yeah.
just let
Yeah,
them
like
do what they gotta do?
Spider-Man, Doctor Strange crossovers, and Iron Man and Hulk and Thor and
There's all
But
kinds.
everybody's
it all coincided and it was all really done well, start to finish. But the problem therein lies the fact that I think we can all agree that MCU died with Endgame. They did Marvel's
Yeah.
Avengers Endgame, destroyed Thanos, and that
Everything
everything
past that
after
is just like meh.
exactly everything
Yeah.
past that has been kind of subpar. All the
It's like, yeah,
shows,
okay.
the movies, it's like
Yeah. Yeah. What's funny because I was actually at the comic book store today with my son, which is so weird. We're talking about this, and he loves superheroes. And so we get there, and the gentleman comes out, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, what are you looking for?" And he was just like, "I like superheroes." He's 9. I like superheroes. And the guy's like, "Okay, well, do you have like one in particular that you like? Because there's like a million superheroes." And I'm sure this gentleman was like ready to hear Thor or like the Hulk or Batman or something like that. And he goes, "I like the Flash." And the guy was like, "Oh my god, really?" Like he was so surprised because like it's not a Marvel character. Like it's a DC character, but like it's not a Marvel character and it's not a very big character. So like yeah, the movies are great, but I think for the superhero industry and the comic book industry, there are still a lot of people out there like my kid who just they want the random things. So I feel like there's a lot more that could be done there, but I think once you do the Avengers and all of that, and once we got to Endgame, like that's kind of the superhero Endgame. Like that's it.
I
Well,
mean, it's literally called Endgame. It should have
Exactly.
ended there. Like,
Well, and I
but I
think
mean, I
another
get
thing
that.
too is that some of the heroes, like, let's face it, they've tried doing a Fantastic Four film
Mhm.
franchise a couple of times now, and it's never done well. And obviously,
No.
they're going to try and do it again.
Just keep
But I
trying
mean,
Make it right.
at a certain point, you just need to look at something and be like, well, maybe this just doesn't
It doesn't
translate well
translate
to
well, yeah.
screen.
Right.
Yes, the Fantastic Four is a great franchise. They've got amazing comic book stories, but
Yeah.
maybe that just doesn't translate to the screen for whatever reason. Excuse me.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, I thought the Fantastic Four movie was okay.
I
The
did
one
not
with
like
Chris
that one.
Evans.
I didn't like
Really?
yeah, no,
I
I
did.
didn't like that one. I was like,
It
Chris
had
Evans, yeah, he
it
wasn't
had
that.
Julian McMahon. It had Julian McMahon as the bad guy. But see, I'm the
Yes.
kind of person I root for the bad guy. I get tired of watching the good guy win all the time. But like
I love my villains, so I'm probably not
I
the subject
I
here.
actually
Now, the
I
villains
watched
are always better characters. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it.
yeah.
Excellent
Joker's
backstory.
always
I
a
watched
better, than
Yeah.
Batman, and Darth Vader's always going to be cooler than Luke Skywalker. And,
Mhm.
I mean, it's
right.
just the way it is.
And like I watched this YouTube because I'm famous for that. Obviously, YouTube is like my life. But I watched this guy on YouTube, and he's basically, you know, he does like skits for his show. Like his stuff is kind of scripted, but it's just him that plays in it. And he was doing one where he was in a scenario where, he was at war and had to save like his princess bride or whatever, and he was talking to like the bride's father or the wife or his girl's father, and he's like, I can't think of a more benevolent man and blah 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 and promise me this, promise me that. And he's like, oh, I promise you I'll take care of her, but I'm not a benevolent man. And the guy's like, well, what do you mean? He was like, see, the good guy, the hero guy, is not who you want to protect your daughter, because he will literally
Mhm.
watch her die for the sake of
For the
everyone
greater
else.
good, yeah.
Right.
He's like, whereas me, on the other hand, I will literally light the match and burn the whole world to the ground and laugh happily as long as I have her by my side. He's like, I would literally burn the whole world to the ground protecting her, where the good guy's going to sacrifice her for everybody else. He's like, so you don't want a good guy. You want me. You want the bad guy protecting her.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
And, I always find it funny how, like, the good guy is always kind of promoted as the superior being, blah blah
Oh,
blah.
yeah.
But like in the example of like Marvel Endgame, look how many superheroes it took to fight one bad guy. Like, who's really the more powerful one here? It took like 20 of you against one of me. Y'all had to cheat to beat me and you still lost. I mean, come on. He basically whipped our asses for like 3 movies before we got to Endgame. Like,
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
and then
that's
half
how
of
it
them had
goes.
to die.
But they're all back. They're all going to come back for Doomsday, so it's like nothing ever happened.
It's
Yeah,
like,
they're
oh, look at
just
that
gonna get that one-
revived.
What is it? The Time Stone, and they're gonna go back in time and fix it, or Doctor Strange will fix it. Somebody's gonna fix that shit.
I don't know. I gave up on it. I know after Endgame they came out with the Thunderbolts not that long ago, and now there's a controversy because some of the characters I guess died in Thunderbolts, and now they're going to be back for Avengers Doomsday. So it doesn't make the the loss of the characters significant
doesn't make
anymore.
Yeah,
so
it
like,
basically ruined it.
People care way too much about that stuff. I'm like, it's a movie. Like, it's a movie. Just let it
so
happen.
like I said, that's why independent filmmaking is
Yeah.
so important because you don't have any original ideas coming out of Hollywood and major studios anymore.
Exactly.
It's just a
mean,
rehash
that's
of stuff that they've already done.
That's like the new Scream movie, and I know we've talked about this one before too. Like,
Mhm.
they're bringing back all the dead killers
How do
from the
you
previous
do that?
movies, and they're bringing Dewey back when we clearly watched him die in
A number of these
movie
people are
number
dead.
5. Like, but like that's the thing. The rest of them are just going to be like basically how Billy was in Scream 6 and 7, or 5 and 6. I mean, where he's like, where they're kind of like astral projections of the people or whatever, hallucinations, but they're not really there. But Dewey's actually listed as like a main character. So what is he going to be like? Gail's angel on her shoulders or something? Like, what the hell? And if they somehow revive him from the dead and fake us out again, then it's like you're taking away everything that what was the point of killing him in the first place?
We no longer trust you. You lied to
Right.
What's the
See,
point of killing
and that's the thing that the studios know.
it?
The studios know it'll be a cash grab to have all of those people come back as their characters, and they can always play the line. Well, you didn't really see him die, and it's like, okay, I guess I didn't.
We did.
I guess I didn't see Matthew Lillard's character die. I mean, but you played heavily to the assumption that he was
right,
and then you haven't brought him back until now. Like,
right.
It's just Stu's going to be living in he's going to be catatonic in some retirement home. Like
he's been in a coma for the last 30 years.
Oh my God!
It'll be something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Was it Lloyd or Harry? I can never remember who's who. Which one was
Dumb and
Jim
Dumber?
Carrey?
Lloyd.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jim Carrey was Lloyd. Okay, he was the one that was like catatonic for 20 years just to get a aha.
Oh yeah.
That's how Matthew Lillard's going to be in Scream 7, guaranteed. He's going to be like,
ha
ha,
It's just so weird to me when they do stuff like that.
Wheelchair.
But yeah, so like, and I actually, so it's interesting that, kind of comparing the two, there's such a heavy, I think, movement towards independent film at this point.
Yes.
I don't know, like if it's just something that I've noticed, but usually by the time I notice something, it's pretty big. Because I am super oblivious. But I actually saw an article, and I don't know how true it is, that there are some big names like Eli Roth who are like looking into getting into like indie film. And I was like, how dare you, number one, because you can't do a crowdfunded film because you have access to that money. Like that's not fair to the people who are actually making crowdfunded films.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's
so
gonna overly do it.
I've talked to a few people about that, and it is a bit of a point of contention with some of the independent filmmakers, especially smaller guys like, like Acrostar Films, the ones that do the, the Corn Zombies, and and that I'm doing Perfect Soul with later this year as well. But like they just, they were their own Acrostar production company, kind of for a while, nothing major. It wasn't until like I think late last year, early this year, that they became an official LLC as a production company. And at that point, they were able to sign a distribution deal with Bayview Entertainment. So now Bayview's got access to their library, but they still do crowd-funded projects, and they still work off of modest budgets of anywhere from like 15 to like 25 grand. They're not a major studio. And what's going to happen is somebody like that, if you have Eli Roth, and I think the other one is Robert Rodriguez is the other big name that's going to be doing it.
So.
They're not necessarily crowdfunding in the traditional sense, like Indiegogo, Kickstarter type thing, but they're allowing you to buy shares into their company. And then as a shareholder, I know Robert Rodriguez, I was watching a video today, but as a shareholder, you would be able to like email him. I would say the way he put it was almost like directly, but I'm sure it's going to go through a couple channels. But like, if you had an idea to pitch to him, you could pitch it to him. And if he decided to select your idea, then you could be a part of the filmmaking process and get obviously the credit for it. And that's kind of a big deal to a lot of, I guess, hardcore enthusiasts that, want to find a way into the filmmaking game.
Right.
And if you're going to be able to do it with a big name like Eli Roth or Robert Rodriguez, and obviously because they are who they are, they're going to have access to better equipment, better special effects, better, actors. And so that really, pulls from the smaller guys that are, the ones actually out there really trying to put something out there, doing as I always say, doing a lot with a little. So it really, it's a point of contention in the market right now as to how they want to go about that, and what do you do? Like if you were you and if you could give $100 to, Robert Rodriguez's film, or you could give $100 to, some unknown film studio that you don't know anything about, well, who are you going to give it to?
Exactly.
You're going to go with the big name.
Right. Exactly.
But that doesn't mean that they're going to, I mean, me personally, I know enough people in my circles, that I would be willing to give to Acrostar or Refinery Films, or, a couple other guys. Mahal Empire is a really good one. But you're when it comes to the masses are going to go with the bigger name.
Yep. Just as a regular person who doesn't have a foot in the door. Yeah. You're absolutely going to go with the bigger name. Oh, I know who Robert Rodriguez is. I'll go ahead and give him money.
I mean, it's the same as being an author, really. I mean, unless you're already famous, nobody's gonna pick you up as a writer.
Right.
And I'm the random person, though. I guess I'm the exception, not the rule, because I'm that person that would, like, okay, if I had choices to meet celebrities, like all the people I want to meet are like low-level celebrities, not any of the A-listers. Like, Brad Pitt could walk by me and I'd be like, oh, that's nice. But let Richard Brake come by and I'm like, oh my God, it's you from Rob Zombie's movie. Like, I'm that little guy, underdog rooter team. Like, I'm a cheerleader for the underdog. Like, the big dogs can take care of themselves. It's the little guys that people got to look out for. And, those are the people that are serving us, as our community,
Those are the people that are passionate about it.
Exactly. Those are the people that are exactly like us, We're nobodies, but
literally
our
living
communities.
Life.
And I think the other thing too is like when
us.
you start looking at like the indie community, like that, like there's so much good talent that is like going completely untapped on a large scale.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous.
Sure.
Like I'll give you a good example. Like for Acrostar, like there's a girl named Beth Metcalf. I don't know if you guys have talked to her yet, or if she's on your books to talk to, but Beth is amazing.
I have not. You'll have to send her my way.
Beth does and can do anything and everything as far as I can tell. She sings, she dances, she street performs, she does the special effects, she does writing,
to be
producing.
On this show.
I mean, and it's just, she's really unbelievable what she does. And then like somebody like Steve Herman, like he is such a good writer when it comes to writing character development and dialogue, where you watch some of these mainstream movies and like you can already, like, halfway through a conversation, you already know what's going to happen halfway through the movie. You know, they foreshadow everything so bad. And then you got guys like Steve, it's like he's going to write a conversation out and he's going to use unpredictable dialogue to keep you on your toes, so you have no idea what's going on. And it's just a shame that, like, there's so much talent out there that, like, gets overlooked on a large scale just because, you know, like you said, Rebel, like, you're not the big name. You're not going to get looked at because you're not already famous.
I mean, hell, there's famous people these days that people don't think twice about. You know, I mean, Jeremy used to be an A-lister and he's kind of, you know, on the back burner these days. Jason London, same thing. You know, they were big in the 90s, but now people barely know them anymore. And it's like, you know, how do you fall that far when you were that good?
And that's the thing, like, they're both incredibly talented, but they don't get what they used to get.
Are.
See, but I think a lot of that lies in, like, the dirty side of Hollywood. Like, you know, I've heard and read some things, and it's like, you know, if you're not willing to do certain things, then you're eventually going to fall off the radar. You know, and once you're off the radar, it's really hard to get back on.
But that's that catch-22 shit where you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Because if you don't do what they say, then you're not going to make it anywhere. But then if you do what they say, then they turn against you and you still can't make it anywhere because then the entire world hates you on top of it.
Right.
And that's another reason why I appreciate, you know, low budget independent filmmaking, is because the people that are doing it do it with the passion for the actual art of filmmaking. You know, they're in it because they enjoy doing it. They're not necessarily looking for an ROI on what they've done. They've got a story that they want to put out and they're going to execute it to the best of their ability. And when you watch some of these films that I watch, you know, you can tell this guy did everything exactly how he wanted to do it. Everything was done with intent, no matter how bad it was or how goofy it was or how silly, like, it was purposefully done that way. And when you're watching silly, you know, some of these sillier horror comedy films or something like that, like, you can really, it comes through the screen how much effort and love they put into putting this story out there, you know, whereas, I mean, a lot of these Hollywood things anymore, you know, I mean, like Jason Statham. I love Jason Statham, but A Working Man is nothing but a copy paste of 6 of his other films that he's already done. You know, am I still going to watch it? Yes. Am I still going to be entertained by it? Absolutely. But it's not going to be anything that I haven't seen him already do 100 times.
Yeah, I feel like he's another one that gets typecasted. Like, he can only play action movies. He can't do a drama or a comedy, although most of his action movies end up being a little of both. But he's not that kind of actor. Like, he's only seen as action hero.
Yeah.
You know, God forbid I'd like to see him play a villain, although, I hate to see what hero has to go against him, because damn, that man's a machine.
Well, you know, and even when they made him a villain in like the Fast series, they just turned around and made him a like an anti-hero, you know, kind of guy.
He ended up being a baby face, a frenemy.
Right, exactly. You know,
I'll help you out as long as it's convenient.
Yeah.
And with that, this hour went really quick.
It really did.
We are actually way over our hour. So thanks for anybody hanging in there with us. We really appreciate you guys. And we definitely appreciate having you, Lance. You're definitely another one that I could talk to forever. Like, I really want to get a guest on here that I don't want to talk to for an eternity, because
we had
maybe then we could stop on time. Hey, we will not mention the Voldemort of celebrities, okay?
That's funny, though. Like, we had one. It's fine. It didn't last very long.
We did have one, but it never saw the light of day, thank God.
And it will not.
It will not. No.
We can't all be winners.
Yeah, it's true.
I know.
We're not gonna strike gold every time. Although every time except for that one, we have really done really well.
Yeah, we've had really great people on here, and a lot of these people
watching your channel. Watching your channel has been really interesting for me, because it's and I'm not knocking you guys. I feel like you're going down my friend list and picking off all my friends, because almost every single interview is like, oh, I deal with them. Oh, I know who that is. Oh, I deal with them.
That sounds like permission.
Oh, I talked to them the other day. Right. So,
Well,
and
it's not you I'm stalking per se. We just happen to have a lot of mutual friends.
That's so
Okay,
funny.
I stalked
I
them
mean,
first.
right.
She stalks individually.
I do. I don't discriminate. I'm an equal opportunity stalker. Okay, like if you, by all means, if you would like me to stalk you, drop your name in the comments. Shoot me an
Yeah, just
email.
let us
I'm
know.
not. I'm not opposed to it. You know, I don't discriminate. I'm equal opportunity stalker. I will stalk you regardless of your situation in life. I mean,
You
that's
will
just
too.
me. I will. I will. It's a known fact. But we have this entire show because of all my stalking habits.
That's
So
true.
there you go.
That's true.
It's for the greater good. And you know what? Is there anything you want to leave us with in closing, Lance?
Well, like I said, Return of the Corn Zombies is supposed to come out in May of 2025. So hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll get a definitive where it's going to be landing. We are going to start filming Perfect Soul. We've already done proof of concept filming for Perfect Soul. There's a Indiegogo campaign currently going on. If anybody wants to be a part of it, go search it.
We didn't even get to that one. What's that one about?
Perfect Soul is that is a girl who is basically raised in a perfect town by a perfect family and supposed to be the perfect daughter, but she's got some dirtiness in her bloodline from some generational sacrifices, and she has to atone for them unbeknowingly. So it was also written by Steve Herman. So it's pretty interesting
with that one.
So yeah, the Indiegogo campaign is live for it right now. I think they're halfway to their budget. I think they're shooting for 15 grand. I think they're at 7,500 right now. I think there's like 16 or 15 days left. Anybody can be a part of it if they want to. And I think filming is going to start for that in June and September in the Illinois area. And
for sure. If you want to shoot me the link on Facebook, I'll drop it in the description. When
absolutely.
We air the episode.
Yeah, I've seen the proof of concept stuff. It looks really good. They've got some really, really good actresses in that one. Tiffany Saggio, I think that's how you say her last name. She's gonna be a standout in that film for sure. She's been doing some really cool stuff. So that's currently going on, and I've got some other things in the pipeline. I'm not going to say anything just yet. But if you have me back on the show later this year, I might have some more information to share.
Yeah.
We
would be happy to.
If that is not a hook, line, and sinker, sir, he is specifically making sure we have to bring him back.
It's recorded.
It is recorded.
And I am.
They're going to hold us to it.
Like I said, still doing stuff with Indie Horror Junkie. You know, they're doing the Scarathon Film Festival in Syracuse, New York later this year. And then obviously they'll have the Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival at MegaCon in Orlando in March of 26. So I will, as far as I know, I will be at the MegaCon convention with Indie Horror Junkie next year. I don't know about Scarathon. So
that's my goal for us is to be at every convention next year.
I highly recommend MegaCon. It's not. So last year we did the Hall of Horrors, which was pretty much all Indie Horror Junkie. Rick put it together. He had all the guests come out, and we ran horror movies
wait to have him on the show.
Horror shorts for 3 days straight. Every day. I mean, they were just running. You can come and go as you please. You can watch what you want. We had the special screening for Screamboat, which is coming out on April 2nd in select theaters. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, you definitely should, because
obviously we're going to check that out.
Screamboat was an absolute riot. And
isn't that the one with like Mickey on the boat?
That is the Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
So Steamboat Willie went into public domain this past year, and Stephen LaMorte and Amy Schumacher, who are very lovely people, put together this film.
They're just coming out with all kinds of horror Disney shows. Like they got 2 Winnie the Poohs out. Now we're getting Screamboat. I heard there's a Peter Pan in the making.
The Peter Pan one did come out. It's a part of the Pooniverse, I think is what they're calling it. So Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. But
say that 5 times fast.
The Peter Pan one was kind of disappointing, honestly. Like there's so much you could do with the lore and the story of Peter Pan, and really all they did was make a typical slasher film and slap Peter Pan's name on it. So it was a little disappointing. And that's where, there's other Steamboat Willie horror movies out, if you will, like Mousetrap, and I think there's
I
another
just
one
watched
coming out.
that one the other night.
But
I was not amused.
Screamboat is extremely well written with actual like lore and storyline and plot and substance to the character
Thank
itself.
God.
And if you are a Disney
Sounds from the
fan,
masters.
you will absolutely get a kick out of all of the Disney references, which the beauty of the way Steve wrote that is even if you're not a fan of Disney, the jokes still land. If you don't know the reference, they just land that much better if you get the reference.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's really, really well done. And that's another one of those things, like you were saying, like it's, if I'm in a room with Brad Pitt and I see Amy and Steve, I'm going to go run into Amy and Steve. I'd rather talk to them than Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
They're not as egotistical either. Like indie filmmakers are always like, yeah, welcome. Come on. We're approachable people. Everybody else is like, go away. We hate you. We just want your money.
MegaCon was a blast. He had Screamboat there. Rick had Mutilator 2, the cast and crew from Mutilator 2 there. He had Joe Castro come out, who's a visual special effects artist, practical special effects artist. Gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award. Austin Janikowski was there, who does a lot of stuff as far as comic books, and he's actually on I think it's Bad Monkey with Vince Vaughn on Apple TV. Ooh. So Rick really did a good job putting everything together. Rick and Amy, who run Indie Horror Junkie, Rick's very into the grassroots indie type stuff, and Amy, she's the one that drives the ship and makes things happen. So they did an amazing job at MegaCon. So I can't wait to go back for 2026, and I'm sure whatever they got going on with JFR Media up in Syracuse for Scarathon is going to be amazing, because that's going to be an actual, horror convention, whereas MegaCon is not necessarily a horror convention. It's kind of like a Comic-Con convention when we kind of have a little bit of a hallway and a theater room to work with. So Scarathon is going to be amazing for Indie Horror Junkie, I'm sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, sounds like it. Can't wait for everything coming up. And Lance, I thank you for being here with us. We will most definitely have you back on the show.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it.
And on that note, guys, we are out.